Okay, hello everyone. It's Corby from Radiant Core Solutions. Today I am talking with Heather Layton from Livit 24/7, and your tagline?
Get Fitty Cupcakes.
Awesome. Yes. Heather is a personal fitness coach and a life coach and many other things. But we were sitting here today having what we thought was a really interesting conversation. So we thought we would share it with everyone here today. So how are you doing amongst all this noise and infusion and confusion and everything that's going on?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. I know it's hard not to be affected by it, right? No matter what we do, it's
Yeah.
always coming at us.
Yeah. I just coughed. I'm fine.
Yeah. It's okay. We've taken screen precautions. We're good.
Screen for yes. Honestly, I've had my own kind of ups and downs with it, and not really understanding why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And just a couple of days ago, I started to get a lot of anxiety. And I was sitting at the computer and I was scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I what I've noticed is that there's two themes popping up for me on my social media feed. Now, everyone's feeds are going to be different depending on what you usually look up. So what was happening for me was I was getting this one topic of a lot of financial stuff. Like, here's what you need to do, at this time, and the top 5 things you can do to take advantage of your investment portfolio and the mortgage rates, like all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side, I was getting all this business stuff, the top 10 things you need to be doing now for your business, and what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be doing. And even though I wasn't actively opening those things, I was scrolling down and I was just saying to myself, no, that's not, I don't want to read that right now. I don't want to do it. So I was making a conscious decision to not allow myself to get distracted. However, those things started to stick into my mind and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah,
So,
just reading all the headlines, hey, just coming in. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I was feeling this anxiety. I didn't know what to do with myself. It's not like I don't have a number of things I could do. I have plenty of things, but I sat with that feeling and I asked myself, okay, what am I really feeling right now? And I know that you do this as well as a coach. It's great to be able to allow that feeling to come up and give it a chance to talk. So for me,
Yeah.
when my feelings come up, I know that they're all parts of me. They're just a bunch of little Heathers running around. They've got something really important to say. It's like they're tugging on your shirt saying, hey, I'm trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
And typically we push those emotions away, right? We're like, yeah, I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, we're so trained not to do that. But I think what's happening now is we cannot ignore them any longer.
Right. So the more you ignore that voice, that little part of you is saying, okay, fine. You want to put me off. That's okay, but I'm going to be back. And I'm going to be back in not a very nice way.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means you're lashing out at your partner, or you're angry at your cats, or whatever is happening for you. But it's not, you respond to things how you don't want to respond. And that's when you know you've not been dealing with the things that maybe you should have dealt with earlier.
Yeah, it's that old saying, what you resist persists. As
Totally.
much as we try and not have the outcome we don't want, we end up with the outcome we don't want.
Totally.
Yeah.
So then as I'm asking that anxiety part of myself, okay, look, I get it. You have something really important to say. There's a message here, and you want to tell me about it. So I'm ready to listen to what you have to say. And this anxiety just started spewing all this stuff and saying, well, you need to do something now. You need to invest. You need to get on Facebook, and you need to, wow, like all of this stuff that I needed to do, and I needed to do it now.
All this pressure.
Yeah, show up. You need to show up and serve the community. You need to help. You need to do something now. And I just listened because, again, as you know, that's kind of what you want to do, is be compassionate to this part of yourself that has something important to say. So I'm not going to ignore it and push it away. But then when I asked it was, okay, well, why? And it said, because this is a short window. You need to seize this opportunity. And so I did my own little dabble in, okay, well, what's really going on for me? And what I recognized that there was something from my past that this was bringing up. So I addressed that, and
Mhm.
that's good. So I figured it out. Okay, onward and upward. But in the midst of all this, there was another voice, another part of me that says, Heather, people are dying. And you're worried about how to maximize your investment portfolio right now? And I sheepishly went, okay. And then again, people are dying, and you're concerned and pressured about how to maximize your business right now, how to personally gain right now. And because I had already understood why I was feeling pressured, it was okay. And that anxiety part just responded with, you know what, you're right. It is, Kate, it's selfish. It is not, that's not how I want to be showing up right
Mhm.
now. And so I was able to ask myself the question of, well, what is it that I need for myself right now? Like, what's important? Just because I'm hearing all these things about what I should be doing to maximize certain areas of my life, do I want to actually be doing that? And
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, and I think that's where most people get stuck because they just get in that whirlwind of it instead of pausing, like you said there, and saying, "Yeah, is this going to serve me right now?" Oh, did we cut out? We're back, and
Yes.
I don't even know what we were saying.
Well, I think I do. So
Okay.
I'm going to repeat myself a little, but it was about all these I shoulds that I was
Yes.
having about what
Yes.
I should do, what I shouldn't do. Um, are those even things that I want to do right now during this time? And to be honest, I didn't want to do that. I don't care about the freaking stock market right now. I have other things that are more important to me than that.
Hmm.
Okay, great. I don't want to come up with some amazing business plan to generate lots of clout and future business. Sure, like it would be great, but that's not what I want to be focusing on right now. There are other things that are more important to me than that.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's how do you want to show up in the world right now?
Well, exactly. Who do you want to be as a person?
Hmm. Yeah, and I
And
think we're seeing lots of great examples of people stepping up into that role.
yes, yes. And I think the hard part for, obviously me, and I know a lot of other people, there's a lot of expectations to, well, it feels like there's a lot of expectations to show up, call
Hmm.
somebody, reach out, do something for the community. If that is not where you are in your life right now, that's okay.
Yeah, because it is a lot of pressure, and everybody is doing the best they can, and even if they can take one more step towards it, if that's what they want to do, that's great. But yeah, it shouldn't be um, so pressured that it's going to take them, to the extreme of their discomfort or their comfort zone.
Absolutely. And I feel like with all this pressure, we we're still not addressing how we feel. So
Hmm.
like I was talking about with all that anxiety to show up, to do this and do that, don't do this, don't do that. Um, I realized I wasn't taking care of myself. And the primary thing that we all need to do is understand how we're feeling. And then once we understand how we're feeling, we can then decide what would we like to do about that. And that's when we actually show up
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
way that's authentic, right?
Yeah, because we're leaving behind the conditionings that we shoulds, and we can step into who we are and how we want to be in this world, and walk that line versus what we think we should do for somebody else.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And one of the things that when I was getting, so my anxiety, I settled it down. That was a couple days ago, but then it sort of crept back up today.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, what do I need to do about this? And then I just did this 1 minute, I don't even know if it was a minute, but I was doing this meditation exercise, and it was just regrounding myself, breathing, standing up. And it was a guided one from somebody. And it went on for like 5 minutes, but I stopped it. The moment something jumped into my mind, it was go read that book you've been reading. I've been reading Wayne Dyer, one of his first books, Your Erroneous Zones. And it's really interesting. And when I opened it back up again, I was reading about how we are all conditioned from such a young age to look for approval.
Mm-hmm.
And he was describing when you're a kid and, you know, your parents say, oh, well, wear whatever you want. And then you come down the stairs wearing a polka dot shirt and a plaid pair of pants, and your mom or dad says, oh, not that.
Yeah, you're wearing that. Yeah, go change.
Go change. And so then you learn as a kid, okay, yes, make your own decisions. Oh, but no, not that one.
Yeah, but they're not the right decisions. You've got all the free will, but as long as you go and change it for what I tell you to do.
Exactly. So as kids, we're so conditioned to ask for, well, can I go play with Lisa or Johnny, and where can I play, and what time do I have to be home, and can I ride my bike? And then the part of this chapter that I was reading was, not only does that happen at home, you go off to school, and schools claim that they want to help with self-actualization, but really, if you don't conform, if you don't do that essay with the appropriate spacing between each paragraph, and you don't have the proper spacing on the sides, and you don't, you know, follow the rules of, well, address this first, then this second, then you're a badass, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting as I was reading about how even when you go to school, you're sort of conditioned to seek approval in order to get grades, right? You have to, the teacher's going to tell you what to address. You need to address it in that way. And if you don't, you get docked marks from it. So I felt like, oh my God, that is sort of in a way what's happening right now. We are bombarded with what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Don't shake hands, don't go out, don't host events, don't go to events, reach out to people, do something good for the community, stay at home. It's like, holy crap, no wonder we're all feeling confused about what to do. We're bombarded with everybody telling us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And now it's like, well, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is tough, and especially since people have time, then they start thinking of all of this stuff. And then because, you know, the things that we should do are actually to stay home and take care of ourselves and distance and that, because there is a real threat to society by us going out, you know, and there seems to be a lot of people who still haven't got that message. You know, I think it's getting there.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, because it's so, you know, when we're not feeling affected, and when we're, you know, not seeing the effects, I guess, around us, it's hard to feel included in that sometimes.
Totally. It is depersonalized for us a little bit right now, although it's becoming more real.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some people saying, I'm not worried, I'm not scared. And it's okay not to be worried and not be scared if you are taking the proper precautions.
Yes.
But there are some people who they're like, yeah, I don't really feel it. And that's okay if you're not feeling the seriousness of this. If you think people are overreacting, but maybe ask yourself why you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. I read a blog. I've read a few blogs from people from Italy just describing what it's out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do that because it's important for me to understand somebody's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how people are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I did see the one video that they were saying, like, this was us 10 days ago, and we were in the exact same spot saying, oh, it's nothing, like, didn't take it serious. And now look at where we are now today, you know. And I think that's the whole thing, is because it's hard, like, as we said, it's hard to, how do you step into that? How does it feel there? But, you know, it's really not about those who it doesn't affect. It's about those that it does affect, and how do we keep them safe?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we keep them safe by not going places, not, you know, distancing ourselves and minimizing contact and all that kind of stuff, because we're protecting the ones who can't protect themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel scared per se. I don't know that if that's how I would describe my feeling, but I do understand that this is a serious concern.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I would say too, I'm like you, I'm not scared, and I'm coming from a calm place.
yeah,
There's times that I do feel a bit like caught up in it, but at the same time, it's like I'm going to be the best person I can be and take care of as many as I can, given
mhm,
my little frame of reference in my world, right?
exactly.
And it's the same thing, is like, yeah, I'm not worried for me, but I certainly don't want to be a contributor to somebody whose immune system is compromised, and that can be any age.
Exactly. And I feel like the longer this goes on, the more disruptions we're going to face. I mean, you and
Yes.
I already faced a couple on the phone, like the phone is
Yes.
cutting out and then Zoom cut out. And I think I kind of laugh because I'm seeing all this stuff online, like get online. Okay. The problem is now we're getting overloaded on our,
Yeah, the online
technology.
can't handle everybody online.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that the more it goes along, but I think that what's important for people to know, what I want people to know when I even listen to my clients talk, it's that, hey, if you don't know how to deal with this right now, that's okay.
Hmm.
Just think about what's important for you. Like consider what's really going on. Like it's true, this virus is running around the world and it is killing people. And is what you're stressed out about in the scheme of things, does it really matter? I mean, I'm not saying it's not important. I mean, I
Yeah,
think about
there's a difference there.
that's right. I think about the people that I know who have kids and some clients that I know who have kids and they've been forced into this position of homeschooling. Like, man, that's a big job. And I know a lot of them have their own fears from before. I have a few clients and some friends who are scared that their kids are going to be living in their basement when they're 45. But this is not a new fear. This is
Yes.
not a new fear. This is not a COVID-19 fear. And yes, your kids' education might get a little bit of a mishmash going on, but it's not going to make or break their potential for the
No.
future.
Yeah, they're
It's
still going to be able to learn. It's just disappointing because the rollout of how we thought things should be isn't
certainly,
happening.
certainly,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know a client of mine mentioned the grade 12. She said, "I'm glad my kid isn't in grade 12 because it would be a bit disappointing
Hmm.
to not have a graduation." Hey, totally get it.
Yes,
Absolutely. Is it
that's a
disappointing?
big deal.
Yes, it is disappointing. Is it going to change the course of his or her future? Likely not.
Yeah.
It probably won't. So I think that's, the message I want for people is like, look at the scheme of things. That's what's going on in the world right now.
Hmm.
And do you really want to be stressed out about your kids' education? As I said, I'm not downplaying it, it's important, but probably what you're worried about is probably not really going to happen. Your kids are going to grow up, they're going to move through it, and what do you want their experience to be like right now? Do you want it to be stressful? Do you want it to be awful? Do you want to feel like there's more pressure for them to do stuff? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and just as you're saying there is like, even us as adults, I remember seeing a post, when one person was saying like, I'm so stressed, I don't want to show my kids, but it's like, we need to share in this collectively because our kids need to know we can still be stressed and we can get through this. Bad things happen, but we can, handle it. As you said, we stop and pause and what is real for me in this moment? Yes, disappointment, different things like that, but okay, how do I move through that? And how far am I projecting my fears and everything else? But if they can see us as adults that yes, this does happen for us, but I can feel sad, I can feel mad, I can feel frustrated, or whatever other feelings there are, and I'm going to be okay at the end of it because I'm acknowledging how I'm feeling instead of keeping it in. And if our kids can see us doing that, I think then they can be more accepting to what they're feeling and move through it, because we have a huge problem before this of kids with anxiety.
That's right. That's right. And I feel like the more we can demonstrate that it's okay to understand your thoughts and your feelings,
Mm,
the better off you're going to be. Like
yeah.
that's good. It's important to self-reflect, and self-reflecting doesn't mean you're doing a bad job of handling it. It's no different than business. when something occurs for you in the business world, you look at what's happening, you understand what's happening, and you make a course to change that direction if it's not the desired outcome. And the same just needs to be applied to our personal life. Understanding how we think and feel is just as important as in the business world. Understanding what's going on, what is the outcome happening right now, and what is negatively impacting that. So trying to apply that to understanding your computer in your mind. And that's really, I guess that's one way I like to look at it, is your brain is just your computer. It can be complicated sometimes, but you kind of want to have a good understanding of it.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good understanding of it, you know how to move forward in a way that's right for you, as opposed to having your decisions driven by some sort of external force. There's no freedom in that. The freedom is all what it is, what's going on in your own mind, and uncovering what you need for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's where, people, if we can just sit back with what is going on, and try and quiet some of that noise that's coming in, and how do we want to show up? And you know what, it is okay to be a little bit stressed about this.
Yeah.
Because it's huge. A lot of our generations, multiple generations haven't had to deal with a war, haven't had to deal with, especially in Canada. I know there's a lot of families who had to deal with, really, really bad things, and who have had to immigrate to Canada because their country wasn't safe to even be in. Now we're collectively sharing in something here it's not isolated, and we can get a glimpse into what other people who have to flee their countries might even feel like. Here, most of us have housing, most of us have food, most of us have toilet paper, things like that, but that we take for granted because we've never ever had to be without, or to even consider a possibility of being disrupted so much.
Yeah, that's very true. And you had mentioned earlier before we started this about, people traveling and feeling like, oh, okay, hey, I'm one of them. I had a trip to Portugal planned at the end of what month are we? At the end of next month. And hey, it's fine. It's okay. I'm whatever. This is more important, far more important than that trip. I have a lot of life left, hopefully.
Yes.
And I will be able to travel again. But there are some people who are really letting that put a damper on their life right now.
Yeah, and it's hard not to, because these are things people look forward to that get them away from their regular stress too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's totally okay if that's how you feel, but remind yourself of the bigger picture. And again, like we said earlier, if you're not feeling it and you don't believe that this is an issue, why not?
Yeah. What more evidence do we need to have to that this needs to be slowed down?
Yeah, agreed. I think a lot of people are doing actually a really great job.
I think so. Yeah. And there's so much good that's come out of this, even though it's a bad thing, but we see there is people stepping up who are able to do that, helping elderly and those impaired or that just can't get around. There's a community group that's been started in Edmonton here. I know there's other ones in other cities. So it's the power of the people. Like I said, we will heal together, and by doing our individual part, we will heal together.
Absolutely. Doing your individual part. And I think that's so key, is don't worry about if you don't know how to show up. I've had other people say to me, God, I want to help, but I don't know how. Hey, it's okay. It'll come to you in time, or maybe it won't. And regardless, do your part to just take care of yourself, to not,
and that's the most. If that's all anybody ever does, that is enough.
Absolutely.
We don't need to do anything more than that, because that will protect so many people. Yeah. Whether we have it or not, and it protects us and whoever we go see later on.
Absolutely.
I think one thing we know for sure is this too shall pass. It will, and it feels like forever when we're in these kind of things. Anytime you think of stuff that's happened in your life that you think, oh, how am I ever going to get through this? This is it. This is everything.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, that happened like, oh, a couple of years ago, you
Yeah.
know. But when we're in this, the eye of the storm here, it feels like forever. And I think we just have to keep that
Yes.
perspective that, you know, there's always an ebb and a flow, and we're
Yep.
just, you know, we're riding the wave right now, but it will come back down. You know, they're already seeing that in China. So I think, you know, this will pass and we'll be okay. And it's just a temporary thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to that point of it's temporary is reminding, I mean, I don't know, I'm just estimating that maybe this might go on for a couple of months.
Hmm.
When I look at the charts of what's been happening, that to me seems reasonable. If we all just kind of self isolate, maybe we can get through this and have some normalcy into our lives again in a couple of months, and that would be great, right?
Hmm.
And a couple of months over the span of your lifetime isn't going to be so bad.
No, no. And it's like, and then what's the lessons and the takeaways we take from this?
Yeah,
You know, and
exactly.
you know, we're seeing like on the bigger global view is like, say, Venice, their canals are clean. They're seeing dolphins coming in. There's air over Wuhan, China. Like things are changing. And it's like, can we remember that when we start the wheels turning again?
Yeah, and I
You know?
love that part too. And for me and for a lot of people, it's a huge opportunity to just self-reflect and understand a little bit more on your thoughts and your feelings and what's important to you and how to handle situations like this and accept that, hey, I don't know how I feel, I'm confused, I don't like how I feel, and also that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And for what we're going to be putting out into the world there, I've got an emotional first aid webinar that I've got for people who are feeling overwhelmed. And just to have an hour where we have community and come together and, you know, learn some tools of how to de-stress from that and just be more present. So that's
Yeah.
happening the next couple Mondays here. So they can find that on Eventbrite. And then you've got one that you're putting together that you'll have out in the near future, and we can put links in once they get going. But do you want to just give a little bit about that too?
Yeah, I do. First, I just want to address the stuff that you do, Corby. Your stuff lasts a lifetime. You know,
Mhm.
your tools, the tools that you put out for people, you know, I'm speaking to all of you now. Corby's tools will last a lifetime. There's no expiry on them. So even though it's coming up now and it's relevant to what's going on now, you will be able to use this stuff
Mm,
forever. And
yes.
I've learned so much from Corby, and I use a lot of the tools that I've learned from her quite frequently, and even more so now in the state of what's going on. So definitely check them out if you have not already. As for
Okay.
what I'm doing, I really want to help people just figure out if they've lost focus. I know a lot of people, and of course this came up from my own personal experience of the anxiety. I thought, God, I just want to be able to gain some focus. As I said, there's a lot of things I could be doing right now, but I don't feel like I wanted to do any of them. So if you are looking to just gain some focus, if you feel anxious or overwhelmed or pressured for some things and you can't seem to find a direction, I'm working on a webinar, wine, and readjustment. And
If that doesn't get you in, nothing will. Come
right,
on.
and show up with your favorite glass of whatever, if it's just tea or
See,
it's
we've
wine,
got that.
right? Or it's a shot of bourbon,
Yeah.
whatever you need, show up. And I'm going to go over a tool that I really, really love. This might have to be a two-parter because there's lots that I want to cover. But basically what you're going to leave with is a fresh perspective on how to handle your life as it is in this moment. And what goals are you going to set for yourself based on what's important to you right now? Because this is a right now temporary thing. So that's what I'm working on. So yes,
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
and it's
Yes.
free. It's going to be free. So
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because we are trying to help more people here because, you know, we're in this place where we're okay, you know, to put ourselves out there, if you will, and help those do the same in whatever way that looks for them, whether it's just taking care of themselves or moving on from there.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks. This has been fun.
Thank you.
We'll, who knows, we might make a series of this.
Bye
Thank you.
for now, guys.
Bye.